Drag Races.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Maddox.
And for all of Season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, we have been bringing you our weekly updates on our favorite 3 moments from every episode, our shade of the week,
our favorite queen of the week, our favorite costume on the runway, and our predictions for next week.
So stay tuned.
What do you want? What's the tea? You tell me what's the tea. What's the tea? You tell me what's the tea.
Okay, so this was supposed to be the finale episode, but it's not. And we're just going to kind of recap, because we don't have...
My page was blank.
...specific moments. The episode started off with... what?
Started off with the 3 of them coming in and praising Latrice for being everything in the world that no one else
Nubian
in the world is.
Queen that she is. They also had a lunch with RuPaul.
Yes, a Tic Tac lunch.
A Tic Tac lunch, because real girls don't eat.
Whoops.
They do that every season, where they have like a one-on-one RuPaul. What
Talk about most
their
of the time
innermost
it's Ru
feelings.
giving them
advice, last minute advice,
whether it's about the show or life in general.
Yes,
which is why I love Ru.
Chad talked about her family, her father,
parents,
because she lives with her mother, and her parents got divorced, and her father got a new family, and she hasn't spoken to him in like 25 years. Drama. And there was tears, a lot of tears this episode. Too many for my
This season's been very
tearful.
drenched.
And then Sharon was talking about Alaska Thunderfuck, trying out for all 4 seasons and never making it. And she tried out once and made it, so she doesn't know how that's going to be when she gets home and all that jazz. Fifi talking about the last time she spoke to her father when she was 18. He put her in the hospital. Like, girl, it was a lot of drama. And a lot of tears.
Yes.
But then they went into the girls' room, and there was a surprise.
That was the only thing I wrote on my entire sheet, was that Miss Raja and Miss Tyra were there.
The other Tyra.
Fierce, as they always do.
Yes.
Tyra with that 10-gallon wig.
I know. I love Tyra's hair. I didn't like Tyra's lipstick color choice.
It was like
gold,
a
rust
her
gold.
skin is like
it was
that
just
tone. It was
it just looked like a nude lip, and it wasn't cute for TV.
But they both looked.
But they,
in general,
they looked
were
amazing.
rocking it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they like went over the scripts for the movie that they shot later with RuPaul, the movie
for Glamazon.
Yeah, like the short video film. What else happened?
Some shade was thrown. You have some shade.
Yeah, I do have some shade.
Yeah.
So they were doing a dance routine with choreographer Candace Kane. She's like a famous trainee from New York who is now like an actress in LA. She's been in Nip Tuck and shit like that. They're practicing the dance for Glamazon video, and Candace asked, "Does anyone have any formal training in dancing?" Chad and Fifi raise their hand like, "Yeah, we've danced a lot." And then Sharon's like, "A little." So then they have like a one-on-one session. Chad goes first, she does pretty good. Fifi goes second, she does pretty good. And then it's time for Sharon. And Candace says to her, "This doesn't have to be pretty. Thank God." And all of them start laughing, and then Candace is like, "I'm just joking," but she wasn't joking.
Not everyone is a dancer.
I'm not saying that you have to be a dancer, she looked very
an exceptionally horrible dancer.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have to be a great dancer, but it's about like delivering the performance. Like, even if you don't know all the steps or whatever, you have to have some kind of conviction. And her face just looked so confused and worried and scared. And that reads when you're trying to perform and be fierce, so it was bad. And they even said it on the runway. All of them were like, "Your dance performance was terrible because you didn't look like you were comfortable." And fumbling over her feet, which she does every week because she really can't walk in heels. If you can't walk straight, you can't dance straight.
It's usually an easy indication. You can't walk, you can't dance.
Yeah.
What else to say? They all looked fierce in that video.
No,
Their
the costumes were amazing in that video.
And their makeup was awesome. I think that video, and I watched the video, they premiered it last week, which I was kind of annoyed that they did that, because I would have rather seen it play out like every other season. But regardless, the video is funny. They have all the guest judges in it.
I haven't watched the whole video.
They have like every guest judge and past queen from the season in it. And of course, the three of them are giants, and they squash all of them for points. And then RuPaul comes out, and she's even bigger and squashes all three of them. It's cute. It's very RuPaul camp.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's what we want from her, so we love it.
And self-promotion, of course.
Of course. She's available on iTunes.
This wasn't the most exciting episode.
It certainly wasn't. And one could, that this certainly was not the most exciting season.
No, it really wasn't.
Regardless.
I think the last season was my favorite season.
I think second season is mine.
Well, this is fourth season, right?
Yeah.
Well, the first season has been erased from everything existing.
No one.
You cannot find that anywhere online. You can't find it on Netflix. You can't find it online. It has been erased.
It's worse, and this is saying a lot. It's worse than the first season of America's Next Top Model. But it's gotten much better, RuPaul World of Wonder. Hire me, I love you so much.
The budget is
way up.
Out the roof. Well, especially since you're giving away $100,000 this year.
It's gotta be out of the roof.
In the first year, what they give away $5 in a gift certificate to Starbucks.
2 pieces of biscuit. I handed him a fried chicken basket and said, "Yay!" Well, the big shocker, obviously, as hopefully you all know, is this was not the finale.
Well, I call that...
tricked us.
I call that way back when.
Well, I remember you said. I remember, like, I think the first episode, you were like, "Well, I feel the feeling I'm going to do a live finale," and I was like, "That'd be really fun." And so I kind of expected that. And then they kept promoting this as the finale. The queen will be crowned tonight. So I was like, "Okay, I guess whatever." Then they did this whole spin. I thought the spin was that it was the three of them lip syncing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is too much. I'm gonna die." And then of course there's like 1 minute left, and I'm like, And she announces that she can't decide because it's too difficult, and she will wait until the reunion.
Yes. So everyone can vote by putting the queen's name, #Drag Race. And I think this is very good for Sharon Needles, because this episode, if this was any other episode, she would have been in the bottom 2. I'm not saying that she would go home, but she would definitely be in the bottom 2.
Agreed.
Her final look was a mess. It looked like she ran out of outfits, ran out of tights, so she just put on some lace tights, a generic tan nude color dress, and some octopus fingers. Like, girl, your final look has to be much fiercer than that. It was not cute.
And we know, because if you watch every other episode, I mentioned her name at least a million times. I am Team Sharon Needles, and I still am. I will be, whether she wins or not. She's my favorite of this season. But for the final, last, look at me, this is my last episode, she absolutely would have been on the bottom 2. And I hate to say that, but like, of course, it's true.
Her hair
could
was
dance.
terrible.
If it were just a challenge, let's say that it was like
a challenge.
The three of them put back into one of the first 4 or 5 episodes. If she danced the way she danced, and she came out looking like that, they would have put her on the bottom 2. Mm-hmm. And it depresses me because, you know, she is my girl. But it's true.
She's only going to win because it's a public vote and people love her. Which is fine. I'm not opposed to her winning. I have no problems with her winning. But I think if it was up to the judges,
she probably wouldn't.
The final 2 would have been Chad and Fifi.
Which shocked me. Because honestly, not saying anything against Chad. I love Chad to death. But I
didn't think she was going to bring it.
No, I kept thinking that it was going to be, you know, this whole season has been Fifi and Sharon against each other. So I thought that the final 2, it just made sense to me that they would make it them, they'd lip sync, and one of them would win. Chad, this episode, killed it. She was amazing. And I have to say, I wrote down the other thing I wrote is costume Chad. Her costume
she was my favorite costume.
That came out and with the fringe, and she was rocking like Versace.
Yeah.
She was looking
good. Really good.
And she was doing amazing. She's a great dancer.
Her lip sync was amazing.
Yeah. She, honestly, she made me sweat a little bit thinking about Team Sharon Needles.
The only thing that pissed me off a little bit about Chad, I did also write her down as my queen of the week. But the only thing that pissed me off a little bit is because this whole season, she's been like, oh, Fifi's too young, she's too this, she's too that, yada yada yada. And then when she went into the room to talk to Raja and Tyra Sanchez, they're like, who's your biggest competition? And she's like, well, I think Fifi's gunning for me. And then they're like, oh, yeah, why do you say that? And she's like, well, there's a big age difference, and I think she's too young, you know, she's 25. And then Tyra goes, well, I'm 23, and on my season I was 21. Bloop! Like, girl, and then Chad comes into the workroom and starts crying. Oh, I'm so sorry, I judged you wrong this whole season. It's like, girl, stick to your guns. Even when you realize you're wrong, it's too late. It's the last episode. Like, you apologize off camera. Like, it is too late for you to come and be crying about, oh, I'm so sorry, I should never said you were too young. Like, girl, you're just mad because a winner just told you that she won when she was 21.
Was half your age.
Yeah. And it's like, ugh. That was the only thing that pissed me off about Chad. But other than that, she was my favorite of this episode. And you know I've been Team Fifi this whole time. Her final outfit was okay. It wasn't the best thing she's ever done.
Honestly, and this is totally, anyone would have worn that. I hated that costume. I just think, especially for her last look, I feel like she could have done, like, more.
It was still better than Sharon's.
Well, okay. I'm just saying, just her did not like that costume.
Well, I mean, I said it wasn't my favorite Fifi costume, and that's why I didn't say that she was the winner. But everything else she did fairly well. I mean, she did overact a little bit, but I feel like Sharon overacts a little bit, too.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think back, like, that's just how, every time Sharon speaks, she's doing that thing. So, like, you know, but, yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm, every time I start to say, like, this person might take it, the back of my head is like, no, this person might take it. I have no idea. And I was trying to pick one and stick with it.
I'm picking Chad and sticking with it, even though I've been Team Fifi the whole time. But I do think Sharon Needles is going to win.
It's hard. This is weird. I don't know how to process what RuPaul is doing to us.
I don't know if they're going to do, like, a top 2 or what's going to happen.
I mean, the way they were phrasing it, I thought that usually they send the one away.
Yeah.
And she cries and leaves. And then they have the 2, and they announce it. This time, I thought she was about to announce it with the other 2 just being like, okay, yay. Of course she didn't. But now, apparently, she's going to announce it in front of the 12 that didn't win. So
which is even worse.
Right. This is going to be
Girl,
crazy.
don't bring me back and...
Don't surround me by the people I just beat and then tell me I won $100,000. They're going to rip her apart. But apparently we'll wait, and in one episode we'll find out Miss Congeniality, Latrice Royale.
Well, obviously Latrice is going to win Miss Congeniality because she was the nicest queen.
The best.
If it's solely on the votes and nothing else, Sharon's going to win because she has, like, the world's wrapped around her finger. If it was based on the last episode, Chad should win.
Yes, agreed.
And Fifi's in the middle. She's in the middle. Like, she wasn't the worst and she wasn't the best. But I'm not mad about the top 3. There have been other seasons where I was like, girl, really, Alexis Mateo? I know I say this all the time, but anytime I think about a top 3, I'm like, fucking Alexis Mateo.
Come home, daddy.
Over Yara Sofia. Like, and I know Yara Sofia was just so stressed, but she knew that she wasn't going to be in the top 3. That's why she was stressed. She was like,
I'd be stressed too.
They didn't like my answer, yada yada yada, I just quit, I give up.
Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Well, wordplay. We'll be back next week for one final episode of What's the Tea, and I'm depressed about it. But anyways, stay tuned and find out.
What's the tea?
What do you want? What's the tea? You tell me what's the tea.
Which unfortunately meant that Latrice had to go.
Which means our top 3